Hello, Elstar. My name is Jeff Maystruck. I'm the one who missed the session this morning. I'm sorry. I have a big apology to give you. I put the wrong time in my calendar, and being two provinces over, I am so sorry. But instead, I thought I'd just film this. I'm going to do my presentation in 15 minutes that I was going to do originally in 45 to see if I can just kind of give you some tips and tricks about what I'm thinking about in the marketing world. So without further ado, here is my presentation. Your customer could use a hug. I call it that because for the last, I'd say about 5, 6 years, we've been looking at business and marketing as a way to stand out and a way to get your customers' attention. And lately, well, I wouldn't say lately, in the last 5 years, it's just been caring more. And lately, you can't hug your customer literally. So it's an analogy for how are you taking care of the people that really keep you alive? And so I love the idea of your customer could use a hug because of all the things that you can do to build loyalty and word of mouth and getting people to talk about you. Sometimes showing love is the most vulnerable and most effective way of doing that. And so we're going to talk about a bunch of things. First things first, really quickly about our team. We run a non-traditional marketing company out of Regina here. This is our team in Mexico. We went there in February before COVID hit. It was pretty cool. We are very democratic. We have some rules where not one person can make all the decisions. There's no boss. There's no CEO. We don't like that. As owners, we're actually, Brandon and I, the original owners, we're actually trying to work our way out of ownership and giving the rest of the team, kind of like the WestJet model, but not lately because they're not doing that well. Yeah, I would say the start of the year, I'm sure like a lot of you, we had a lot of momentum. Things were great. And then all of a sudden it was, don't come to work for 2 months. And that was hard for a bunch of creatives and extroverts. That was really, really hard on our team. But at the same time, we're kind of used to working on our own anyway. And so we rebounded quite well. And I'd like to say we're a lot better off than we were about 4 months ago. So I'm happy. Bad companies will be destroyed by a crisis. Great companies will be improved by them. For some reason, when COVID hit, this was the number one quote that came up to me because Andy Grove, in his book, he actually has a really cool quote about it's easy to run a company when times are good. You know what it's like making sales when everything's in demand? Well, that's not hard. Have a crisis and see how you can lead people through that. That's when character is shown. And I'm sure you've seen even in your city, a lot of businesses did falter because of COVID. That sucks. That to me it's an eye opener. And really a lot of this is about creating loyal fans so that if the next pandemic happens or whatever happens, you will be okay. I love Peter Shankman's a marketing consultant in the US, but he gave a shout out to everyone handling the crisis the best way. But I like that part about anybody that managed to lose weight during the pandemic. Well, screw those people. And a very, very intelligent marketing consultant here in Regina always said this to me is that no one remembers the crisis. They remember how you handled it. So no matter how bad things get, don't worry about that. Worry about what people are going to perceive of you after that. This is what we're going to talk about. Business is easier now. Expectations are low. Reputation matters more. Online strategy matters more. Lastly, we're inventing how we communicate. First things first, by doing business easier now, I mean, there's no tire kickers. I don't know if you guys realize this, that there's not a lot of people just, hey, I just want to talk about, I've realized that anybody that's emailing, messaging, calling, they need something. They're not just sitting around, comparing price. Now we still get some price comparison, but for the most part, this came out of, it was the automobile industry. I went to a dealership and the manager said, yeah, it was terrible. He's like, we had to lay off 75% of our sales staff. I was like, oh, that must be tough on business. He smiled and said, actually, sales haven't changed. And so I think business is easier now because people don't want to waste your time. They don't need to talk to a salesperson. They know what they want. They've done the research and they're going to buy. What I think you need to do now is realize that maybe instead of a realtor, maybe you're just a friend. Maybe you're maybe you're somebody that just, goes along to houses and showings. I know now when I do that with my business partner, I've seen he knows more than the realtor half the time, which he probably doesn't. So maybe I do still need a realtor. No one's window shopping. If you want to learn more about the future of how we're going to buy, this book by Roger Dooley talks about how the second it makes it a little bit hard to check out of your store online, we're just going to abandon the cart. If I have to jump through hoops to work with you, I'm probably not going to. You need to make life so bloody easy for your customers that they don't have to think about it. You're just the obvious choice. Friction's a great book on that. To me, it's the death of the salesperson. Think about what happened with pandemic. You could not meet in front of people. And what I heard from a lot of, I would call them quote unquote shitty salespeople, if you need to be face to face, I'm sorry, you had the gift of the gab. You were selling something based on what you were saying. That's not actual sales. You're setting yourself up for disaster. Personally, I love this. I don't like being sold to. I'm a talker. I feel like I'm a salesperson. So I realize that people probably shouldn't listen to me if I start talking really fast about something, like this presentation. Salespeople are gone, but expectations are a little bit different now. If you think about it, now this book, actually, Eric Barker, if you want some unconventional wisdom on, just in the entire business world, it's fascinating. The one quote I like is why valedictorians rarely become millionaires. And I'm sure a lot of you people see this, is that the person that studied the most in our high school classes, they weren't willing to take the risk of, going on a limb and starting a brokerage, or, becoming a realtor and running their own business. But studies show, like, doing the risky things early on in life, that's when you should be doing that. I say expectations are lower because, I don't know if you realize this, it's hard to be a jerk right now. And if somebody is a jerk to you, it's like, come on, we just came out of a pandemic. Shut up. There's a part of me that thinks that even people are just happier now. And so when people are happier, you should be able to, whatever you're trying to sell, you should be able to do that more. Now, on selling, there's a cool quote from the book. It talks about, if you're just optimistic, if literally, you don't even have to be a good salesperson, you just need to be happy about selling, and you're going to actually become a better salesperson. Just in general, being a pessimist, not really good for life. So that's your excuse to smile every day. Show gratitude. I love, there's one of my favorite authors, Tim Sanders, he used to say, you got to flex your gratitude muscle. You can't flex it enough. Show gratitude all the time. It'll make you happy. And he says, again, from Barking Up the Wrong Tree, the most important thing that makes people want to stay friends over the long haul is gratitude. So if you think about it, if you want to keep a customer over the long haul, how do you show gratitude? You can't hug them. So what are you going to do? It's even, I give away lottery tickets, and it's hard to even do that now because you're like, oh, you don't want to exchange. So can you send something in the mail? Can you ship them something? Can you give them something where there's no contact? If you can show gratitude, it goes such a long way. And sometimes for clients, we've even said, like, don't worry about marketing. Go to your past 50 customers and do something for them now. Remind them of how much you care. There was based on that whole idea on how much you care, we worked with a rental property company in Swift Current, and he hired us to do some video tours and to market the properties on Facebook. Now, this was just before COVID hit. Once COVID hit, he was worried. He was worried he wasn't going to fill his buildings, and at the point, in March, he was around 50% capacity. He did something very unconventional. He calls me one day and says, Jeff, I have to give a rent decrease to a couple people. They just moved in, but I feel wrong giving a rent decrease to only a couple people. So I'm going to send a letter out to everybody in my building and say, I'm going to reduce rent. And I sat back, I was like, oh my God. I was like, John, that is such a cool idea. That's literally out care. And he laughs on the phone. He's like, Jeff, it better work because I'm going to go bankrupt in 2 months if it doesn't. He called me 2 weeks ago. I kid you not, 100% capacity. Like he doesn't need any more rentals. And I laughed and I said, I'm writing a case study about this because you did the riskiest thing you could, is just be honest with people, gave them a break, and allowed them to talk, which I think is a fascinating strategy. The next time you want to get people in your building or you want to do something, don't try telling people. Give people an incentive to talk to their friends or family members. First impressions matter a lot. Malcolm Gladwell's Blink was all about this, how we put so much emphasis on our first impression. And so if you can, bring cookies. My grandma, every time I went to their house, they would give us a pop, or they'd always have dessert. So now I'm ingrained to do something generous for people, because to me, that's the greatest way to show love. And yes, that's not a 4-letter word. You're allowed to show love. Over time, if you keep doing that, if you keep baking cookies, I'm onto bread now, so I bake bread. If you do that, eventually people start going, wow, this person's just generous. Maybe I need to reciprocate and hire them. Yes, it's kind of creepy like that. But yes, when you do nice things, after a while, it comes back to you. Reputation matters more. I put a little clip here of Optimum Roofing here in Regina. These little star reviews here, you want to get these incessantly. I don't buy books anymore without looking at the reviews. I don't do much anymore without looking at the reviews. And I think reputation matters more because, remember, you're not going to get in front of somebody the first time they meet you. You're not going to be able to have a face-to-face before they Google you. And so when they Google you, what do they find? You should be Googling yourself regularly and encouraging people that love you to death, leave me a review. Actions speak louder than words. I love this book. Ben Horowitz also wrote The Hard Thing About Hard Things. It's like a love story of an entrepreneur and the love and hate relationship between running a business. But he talks about generally we think there's our work life and then there's our personal life. But what he's saying is that doesn't exist. You are what you do. You can try to separate the two all you want, but eventually they're going to collide. And if you don't have the same values you do in your personal life as your business life, that's bad, and that'll come out. Currently, you're seeing a lot of brands and people being attacked because of the BLM movement. And for some of them that have never done anything with charity, that have never done something for a nonprofit, that all they did is run a business, and you find out they were a little bit racist on the side, very easy decision to say, hey, I'm out. What you could do, though, is think, well, my actions do speak louder than my words. What am I doing to show people I actually care? I can't answer that for you. You're going to have to. Ben and Jerry's did this, though. When a lot of brands were getting trampled when the BLM movement came out, and this year, a month ago when everyone was talking about it, Ben and Jerry's did this in 2016. They've been coming up with designs like this for the last 4 years because they thought it was important. If you go to their website, there's all this talk on how they care as a company. And I look at them as, wow, that's the long-term strategy. Yes, that's going to piss people off. Yes, you're not, marketing to the crowd, but doing the right thing is a long-term play that I completely believe in. There's another one, empowerment. That's cute. We also took a kind of a page out of that book. Our very first organization we ever supported with sponsorship dollars was Queen City Pride. And we did that. I don't know if you remember the year the Russians came out and said, you can't send any, gay, lesbian, any LGBTQ community, you can't send them to Russia for the Olympics. Personally, I have a friend that's gay, and that pissed me off because, again, you just don't do that. Doing the right thing is a long-term play. We've been doing these videos for Queen City Pride. If you ever want to see any of them, I won't show them right now for time concerns, but just an amazing assortment of love in a day that we kind of captured via video. Another one we do is build love. And this is funny too, because currently, this is funny, I'm in the market to buy a house. And the mortgage broker, my business partner, told me to go to. I didn't really know him. He was a part of this Build Love campaign. Build Love is a group of companies that each year they take a renovation and they basically help out a family for free. The fellow that my business partner wanted me to work with for my mortgage, he had donated money to this organization. So think about that. The guy that's going to get my mortgage business, I don't know from a hole in the ground, but he's a part of a major organization that we're a part of, and he supports them through and through. That's weird. When I kind of dissected why we're working with him, I even said to myself, wow. But in the past, no mortgage broker has stood out to me as somebody that I align with my values. And when you do something like support a nonprofit, that's when you show people overtly that my values lie here. I love that. Also, side note, I wasn't for this. When Brandon first came to me for Build Love, I said, no, dumb. We work with so many nonprofits. Why would we be a part of starting another one? But then the following year, about 12 months later, it was about 4 meetings in a row. People would say, oh yeah, you guys are part of that Build Love thing. That's awesome. So I sat back in meetings and I realized how dumb I was to say I don't want to be a part of it, because that actually worked out amazing. Be a part of things. Be a part of movements. Start movements. Support movements. You have no idea how powerful that is in the long run. And again, it's the long game. Is it going to make you a sale tomorrow? No! Stop trying to sell like the corner salesperson at the gas station. Look at the long term about what you can build value and that people would love you forever. I love this. This is actually one of our teammates made a mistake last week and sent an angry email off. And he thought he was going to get in big trouble. And we kind of laughed it off and said, Carter, if you're really busy, you're supposed to make mistakes. That's okay. I love this idea that the samurai who have never erred will never have what it takes. You have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to try new things. The last bit you're going to see here is on that, trying new things. On reviews and why online reviews matter even more, we work with this Toronto startup called PolicyMe, and they're a completely online life insurance company. So you can fill out an application within like 7 minutes and get a recommendation, and you can basically do everything online. But for them, everything is centered around reviews. Now, they're a very forward-thinking company. They're trying to do something where it kind of cuts out the middleman of the salesperson selling you life insurance. But for them, these reviews are the most important thing to them. And it's hard. You can't fake reviews. I mean, you can pay for them, but eventually people are going to find out you're faking them. So please, again, go back to who loves us, who would give us a good review. Let's talk to them. Online strategy matters more. Well, again, because I can't come see you. You can't book a meeting with me. We can't, well, soon you can. But online strategy matters so much because we're doing so much research now. We don't want to sit and talk with you or wait with you. We want to learn everything about the house and then you take me for a visit. Again, this is not, you're not being a realtor anymore. You're being a friend. You're being a family member. You're being somebody who cares. This book, by the way, Jeremy Gooch, I can't ever pronounce his last name. He's from Calgary, though. Don't hold that against him. I know, we hate the Stampeders too. But cool concept. And he has a ton of ideas in here on business ideas that make you go, oh, I never thought of that. Very counterintuitive, very uplifting. Such an ideas book. Like, I love this book just for the inspiration it'll give you. But he runs Trend Hunter, so you can imagine there's a lot of innovative ideas in there. Here's an article on what COVID did to internet traffic, and I'm not sure about you, but I'm sure you're on internet more, or at least you're more available to be on internet more. Hopefully you're at least camping or getting outside a little bit more. But there's a part of me that if you don't have an online strategy, someone else is going to eat your lunch. You need to have something that ongoing that people can find, that they can interact with, that they can fall in love with you and tell a friend or hire you, hopefully. Don't be upset when things get destroyed or change happens. And I know nobody really loves change, but I like the quote, no one hates change, they hate being changed. If you can make people part of it, great. But I love also from Jeremy's book, he talks about destruction. Anytime there's a major destruction or major something happen, that's when the world grew the most. And so I'm predicting the next 2 years, we're going to live through the greatest creativity that our generation will ever see because of this 2-3 months of free time. If you're going to run social, again, on your online strategy, why it matters so much, this is an organization, Regina, we help out. Now, I'd say we help, but we don't actually help them with social because the fellow that runs this, he's got to be into his 50s or 60s now. But he's a genius. The way he doesn't have a formula, but if you look at the bottom here, the people reach versus engagements, he has a formula of the amount of people reached. He needs to have a certain percentage of engagements, and then he'll reboost. Facebook and Instagram, these platforms aren't about just, publishing. It's actually publishing, measuring, figuring out what works, and then putting more money behind that. I have a lot of ideas, and I don't have time to talk about that right now. But if you have questions about online ads, talk to me. Because these guys, Policy Me again, what they do is they'll take 10 to 15 different types of video content or stills, and they'll do ad campaigns for a week and then stop it and look at what worked, figure out what works and redo those ones, get rid of what doesn't. It's almost like an ongoing, you're getting more efficient as you go, but you need lots of content. And I know some of you are great talking on camera, so you need to be comfortable at least starting that. And the other thing I would say, find a local videographer and do it professionally. I love your cell phone videos, but come on, just find somebody local that can help you with doing some of those videos, and you're going to see how that helps. I would bet you that it would help you get busier in the next few months. Last one, everyone is reinventing how they communicate. This is a picture from our newsletter we started up 3 months ago, and I got to admit, it was an utter failure. We got so excited we were going to do a newsletter. We had all these email addresses. We're going to send it over. Everyone's going to love it. First one was great. Second one, okay. Third one, no, we gave away bread, so that was fun. But by the fourth one, we were it's almost like we needed to slow down. And so when you're reinventing how you communicate, when you're living through what you're living through right now, you're gonna fail, and that's okay. You're gonna miss a webinar every now and then. Can I make jokes about that yet? Oh God, that's bad, I'm sorry. It's okay, you're gonna fail. A part of it is, I like the Eric Schmidt idea. When he was at Google to institutionalize innovation, it was the 70-20-10 rule. 70% of your current business, 20% on new business, 10% on moonshots. What does that mean? 10% of those big ideas, the build love ideas, the summer camp for kids in your community ideas. We did that years ago. The 70-20-10 rule is a way to systematize innovation that if you're looking for a really good podcast, Tim Ferriss, when he interviews Eric Schmidt, the CEO of Google for 10 years, I literally have a page of notes from that podcast alone. I hate talking on the phone. You have no idea how much I hate talking on the phone. But there's a part of me that I know a lot of you hate talking via Zoom or scheduling that stuff, or communication is just getting a little bit weird, I'd say. We're all struggling. even us people that assume we can communicate well, I would rather speak to 10,000 people in an audience than to talk on the phone with somebody. I don't see body language. I don't see how you're feeling. You could be glaring at me the whole time. I don't know. Just wanted to let you know I hate talking on the phone. Do hard things you don't like. It's good for you. This is my shout out to Bill. Bill and I, we used to always share books back and forth. And this one really got me because it sums up the superpower of 2020 and beyond. It's being indistractable. I don't know about you, but working at home with my daughter in a 2-bedroom apartment is not fun. She's almost 2 years old and loves to talk on Zoom calls and on the phone with me. Being indistractable means trying to actually cut out 2 to 4 hours of time and to do the important work. I love this book, and you can actually see, I posted this, and it looks like the author actually commented, which is pretty cool. It's the superpower of the 21st century. A study published by the Internet Journal of Information Management found office workers took an average 64 seconds after checking email. So think about this. There's also another book called The One Thing. It's on motivation and on prioritizing the most important thing first, because in the day and age of social media and the internet, there's always something more important we could be doing. No, you need to figure out, stop checking your email, stop putting your phone on vibrate. People don't need to get a hold of you. Yes, I know that's nice to be, that people can call you, but what's even nicer is to chunk your time. So at a certain point in your day, you just check messages and call people back. It's not hard. Your phone shouldn't run your life. You should run your life and your phone. Work hard and go home. I don't know if you heard of Slack. They're an online company. This is big. This is printed on the wall right when you walk in. And they have a startup culture that's go, 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 work, work, work. But they also believe that you need to be a human. And so you're going to see a lot of this coming up. I think it's the mental health generation of take care of yourself. Burning out after 5 years isn't something you brag about anymore. I love this idea of work hard and go home. We encourage people not to come in one day a week. We only have a check-in on Monday, so you don't have to come in any day. But what we want to do is encourage people to live a life that they're proud of, that they're still working hard. And I can't tell you when to work. I did most of this presentation at 2 in the morning. You can't, not all of us work from 8 to 5. Now's the time to plan, dream, strategize on your next 10 years. We have never been given this much time. And so I go to ideas like this, Coursera. It's a free platform where you can actually get any university class you want. I put together this list of 50 courses from 27 different universities because somebody asked me, Jeff, if you're going to go back to school, where would you go? And I chuckled and I said, I wouldn't go anywhere. I would take it online because I want to learn from a bunch of different schools. It would be a cool idea to do that now. Believe in yourself. Start doing something. There's a person in my family, I will not name names, but all they did during COVID was complain, drink, and take pictures of dogs. That's not a strategy. You got to do something that looks within you and says, in 10 years' time, what do I want to become? And I think it starts right here with this. You have to believe in yourself. You can become an expert. I know that's not something top of mind, but think about it. I love the idea of the 10,000-hour rule. The tipping point, Malcolm Gladwell's, I think he talks about it in Outliers, that if you do 10,000 hours of practice, you'll become an expert. But what they don't talk about is the time span for that. So if you do something an hour a day every day, that's going to take you 27 years to become an expert. That sucks. But what are you practicing an hour a day? Basketball? I don't know. I used to practice volleyball a lot. Still not an expert there. If you could do it for 4 hours a day, that only takes you 7 years. Think about that. If you want to become an expert leader, salesperson, executive, business owner, you need to put in practice. And if you can do it for 4 hours a day every day in 7 years, people are going to look up to you. The problem is I don't think most of us focus. The problem is most of us, when it gets hard, we say, can I just be a stay-at-home dad? Can I just hang out with my daughter? No, that's not how life works. And when life gives you a couple months off, my God, should you be getting creative? So it's almost over. There's no such thing as business as usual. Please stop saying that. Take care of your people. Take care of your own mental health. We had about 1.5 employees go down over COVID because the mental health strain. It's not something that we can just wash away or not talk about. I think mental health is a major issue for any business and any organization. But I do think it's much more important for entrepreneurs and creatives because of all that's going on up here. Don't ever be afraid to talk to somebody. Talk to me. I struggle with a lot of things. I would be very open with you. The world has changed. How will you make it better? At the end of the day, life is about making the world a better place. That's all I got. Again, I'm sorry for not doing this in person, but guys, I love this stuff. You can ask me a question about marketing anytime. I think the world has changed for the better. I had one person, doctor we work with in Calgary, she's like, Jeff, we need to take off every February. Everyone should just unplug for 4 weeks and just relax. And I said that, yes, if I don't live in an apartment anymore, I'm in. So yes, thank you so much. This was my pleasure. Again, ask any questions you have. I love marketing. I love digital marketing. And yeah, I'm never going to say, oh, that's a bad question. So thank you so much. Bye, Bill.